Good afternoon, guys. It's another session, another week, and as usual, we have our resident F1 analyst or fanatic. Today, we're talking about what transpired this past weekend in Germany. We saw the German Grand Prix, or I don't know how to pronounce the name. It's Eifel Grand Prix. We saw a historic moment that will live, I don't know for how long. And Mpho's joining us today to break down what happened. What's the significance of the history that we saw this past weekend? So Mpho, I don't know who I could introduce. I think people already know or you are part of the show. For now, it's just to let's just shoot straight. Give us an update of what happened this past weekend, and yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me once again this week. As you already noted, my name is Mpho, and this past weekend we were in Germany in a town called Nürburgring for the Eifel Grand Prix. That was around 11 of our Grand Prix, and it was held in Germany, where we saw Lewis Hamilton continue with his unprecedented win and make absolutely once again equaling with Michael Schumacher. That was the history that we saw happening this past weekend, and one of the highlights where we saw Michael Schumacher's son, Mick Schumacher, who we are expecting to see next year, 2021, with an Alfa Romeo. He gave Lewis Hamilton the helmet, which was once used by his father. That just has to show how important that moment was for motorsports fans and for Lewis Hamilton, definitely, and for Mercedes team. So it was quite an interesting weekend. Because it's something that we might not even see maybe after about 20, 50 years or after such a longer time. So it was really a historic moment for Lewis Hamilton, for the Mercedes, and for Formula One community as well.
So yeah, back to the helmet issue. Was that a moment in time where we say the baton was passed now to Hamilton to say Schumacher has done his part? He's been our greatest Formula One driver ever, and now it's a transition of power in a way to say here's your trophy, or here's the baton for you to continue.
Actually, that was just a gesture by Mick Schumacher. Mick Schumacher is the son to Michael Schumacher. So I would say one way or the other, one of the statements that Mick Schumacher made in the past few weeks, he said his father had mentioned to him that records are meant to be broken. So he believed that that was a very spectacular moment that we experienced. We could actually put it in that way. That was a transition indeed, where we saw someone different taking over from Michael Schumacher, and that on its own is also an inspiration actually to other drivers, young drivers. We have quite a number of young drivers in Formula One right now. You say that you can still do it. Looking at Lewis Hamilton is not a young driver. He might retire anytime soon, or his time is almost there. So other drivers like Max Verstappen and the rest, they're actually been somehow inspired to say we can still do it. So generally, I would say that it was quite interesting, but it was nothing to do with Formula One. Just as a gesture that was done by Mick Schumacher, because he believed that he would walk in the steps of his father at one point.
Yeah. So that was Schumacher's. That was Lewis' 91st career win.
Yes, Grand Prix.
Yeah, Grand Prix. So that's That's a record, right?
Yes, that's a record. He is equaling. Actually, he is not. He has not surpassed Michael Schumacher. I think many people are confused there. He has not surpassed Michael Schumacher. He has equaled his career wins together with him. Michael Schumacher retired with 91st or with 91 Grand Prix wins. So Lewis Hamilton has actually equaled with him. So right now they are locked heads, but we are expecting Lewis Hamilton to actually surpass those records.
Yeah.
Maybe he can even go to 100 plus. So that's the possibility. So yeah,
So
or
so
even
so
more
this
than
week,
that.
last time you had mentioned already, Netflix was there to cover the previous race, but unfortunately, he was not able to reach the fair. So I'm sure Humpeni, you were happy, they were happy, and they got to catch everything on camera. So, and then
Yes.
looking at the race, we saw Bottas was at the front, P1, and then Lewis Hamilton P2, and then who was the third one? Was it Verstappen?
It was Lewis, or you mean the race itself, right? On
Yeah.
Sunday. Yes, it
Yeah.
was Lewis Hamilton who won,
yeah.
and the second one was Max Verstappen, and then the third was Daniel Ricciardo. That was actually one of the interesting wins for Dan Ricciardo. You realize that Dan Ricciardo had he came back to Formula One. He had actually retired, and then he came back.
Yeah.
He's one of the strong drivers in Formula One, and Ronaldo is not a very great team, and he registered the first podium for the team. He has been doing very well, but this was his podium since 2018. He actually retired with Red Bull, and then when he came back, he drove with a Renault. So he came third on yes.
And then another interesting thing about Ricardo, there's a Netflix documentary that documents like Formula One. I think it's called Born to Drive. There was a section or a portion in one of the episodes where Ricardo said if he was driving a Mercedes, he would beat Hamilton. That was one of his.
It's not only him who said that. And did you see what Toto Wolff said in response to those people who say that? And that is going to be my response.
What did he say?
Going to be my response. He said people who are saying Lewis Hamilton is not good enough, is the car that he's driving, should ask themselves why are they not driving a Mercedes? Toto Wolff is the principal manager and the coach for the Mercedes. Why are they not driving the Mercedes? So Lewis Hamilton has worked hard to be where for him to be driving a competitive car is because he has worked hard to be where he is. And generally, I've followed his life. He's one of my most interesting sports person, and I followed his sports life for quite some time. And I believe that he has worked really hard. Ricardo has been there. Why didn't he get the Mercedes seat? You know, people are even saying Bottas is not good. Why is Bottas there? Why are they not there? That's the question that you should ask yourself. You cannot tell me, I agree, you know, there is Narua Pula. Why am I not going to, you know, I'm smart. I would have went to Britain. I would have went overseas. Why are you not there? You know. we cannot dispute that Dan Ricciardo, Fernando Alonso, they have been making records about Lewis. They've been making a lot of statements about Lewis Hamilton. Even Nico Rosberg, I think you must know Nico Rosberg, drive with Lewis Hamilton from karting to Formula One. He's also making some outrageous. I think that just pushed by jealousy. That's my opinion. Because they're all having something to say about him. So I believe that It's like, wow, this guy, we're almost the same level. Look at Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton when they were at McLaren. They were both teammates at that time. So Fernando was doing well. Lewis was still a rookie, but he's just looking at the fact that, but if I was having a Mercedes, I would still be like that guy. He's telling the truth. But at the end of the day, hard is not only about the talent, it's also about the hard work, it's all about the team that you have, it's all about the people that are surrounding you, and they push you hard to make you to achieve what you have right now. So I believe Lewis is not only about the talent, it's also about what he has to be where he is right now.
And then in the weekend race, we saw Bottas giving way to Hamilton in, was it lap 13?
Yes, lap 13.
What was the justification from the team for that change?
That was Bottas' mistake in lap 13.
Yeah.
He actually had knocked the tires or something like that. And then Lewis Hamilton, when he was just about, he derailed on the way, and Lewis passed. The moment you allow him to pass, it's very difficult for you to come back. So he had locked the tires. After locking the tires, he had struggled to come back on the way. And people, it's not only Lewis who passed. I think even Max passed him as well. And then in lap 17, that's when he had an issue with the power unit. I was still waiting for Toto Wolff to give us a statement. He hasn't really mentioned what actually is it had to do with because both of the teammates had changes in the power unit. Both Lewis and Bottas for the start of the race on Sunday. So we don't know if that was the impact of that of the power unit or anything or something different, because it's not only Bottas that had issues. There are other people who retired who are forced to retire.
Lando Norris, I think, had an issue with his power unit. From the statement that he got, I think during the race and even after, there was that he had changed the power unit prior to the start of the race.
Yes, very true. But we should also note that it has not the change of the power unit is not it has nothing to do with the change or any new thing that was brought in. It's just the changing of power units, but nothing developmental or something quite different. So I think many people should know that the power units cannot be developed during the course of a season. They could rather be changed, nothing new could be done. So there was no new development. It was just a change of power. So I don't know if that also had impact on it. Not only Lando Norris and Bottas, also Esteban Ocon of Renault retired as well. I think, and then Alexander Albon. Albon of Red Bull, also retired because of the same issue. That was a very unfortunate incident that happened this past year.
But then one would ask, there's qualifying on Saturday, and then there is the is it Friday King?
The practices.
Yeah, practice the qualifying. Yeah, and then one would wonder, aren't those power units tested Kanako, or why then would such things happen on race day?
They're not really tested. And then you mentioned a very important note there, because this particular weekend we saw FP1 not transpiring, not happening because of the weather. Unfortunately, it was cancelled. So I'm not sure if I would say it had impact or not, because they also had an opportunity to test their cars on Saturday for the FP2 and the FP2, and the qualifying as well. So I'm not sure it has to do with anything about the testing or what, because they were tested. So usually some interesting things transpires on Sunday. Everything would just develop on Sunday. You would ask yourself why maybe it didn't happen on Friday or Saturday. So, yeah.
And then looking at how things are going, it seems as if are you giving Hamilton his seventh cattle? Looking at the driver standing, the points that he had, can we say he's already wrapped up the season and there is nothing stopping him from here?
I believe he is. Nothing is stopping him to take the championship this year. Bottas did his part. I know most of the F1 community, if maybe there's someone who's watching here, I know what they are saying about Bottas, but I believe he has done his part. He did his best to try to catch up with Hamilton. Look at the Russian Grand Prix, and even the Eifel Grand Prix. He actually tried. You had mentioned earlier on to me that you believe that he had worked hard, and I do believe he had worked hard to try to push Hamilton, give him competition, and to try to stop him or try to challenge the championship as well. So I believe that after losing, can I look at the fact that right now Waters got a DNF, so which means there's 0 point. The same person who's supposed to be challenging Hamilton. So that goes back to your issue: is Hamilton done? That on its own says a lot. The guy is unstoppable. He's always on top 10, even if he doesn't make it first or second. Like where was that? I think it's Monza where Lewis finished fourth or seventh, somewhere around there. So still he always on top 10, and that's the point as well. So I don't think there's anyone who's challenging the championship right now. He's on the race to get this seventh.
And then I know you're a fan of what's the guy's name? Carlos Sainz and Gasly. In terms of performance this past weekend, how did you gauge their performance?
The performance of who? Gasly or Carlos Sainz?
Both Carlos Sainz and Gasly. Yeah.
I was watching something very interesting. Actually, I don't really watch Sky Sports, but those are mostly the people who really give more intensive commentary on Formula One. But I had something that Nico said about Perry Gasly, and that's something that I do agree, because that's the same thing that I've been seeing as well. He mentioned something like which I had. He said Perry Gasly, if you have been following Formula One maybe from 2018, 2019, you would know that Perry Gasly was with Red Bull, and he desperately wanted to be on that team. So Formula One is a sport where we are friends, but we are not friends. Right? So Alexander Albon, they exchanged seats with Gasly. Gasly was in Red Bull initially, and Albon was in Alpha Tauri or Toro Rosso. So when but Red Bull is an upper seat, right? So that one is old. Perry Gasly is always trying very hard to try to prove Red Bull wrong about him, because they told him, no, we don't think you deserve the seat. We'll rather give it to Albon. So he's always making sure that it's like he's competing with Albon to some extent, to try to show them that, you know what, I'm very smarter than this guy that you try to exchange with. And he's indeed doing exactly that. He's doing exactly. You remember he won his first F1 champion in he won his first F1 champion this year. And then Albon also tried to do that. He got a podium the next weekend. So you can see the competition between them. But Perry Gasly has a very upper hand. I think Red Bull made a mistake about changing. They just didn't give an opportunity and a chance to prove himself. And Lewis Hamilton also mentioned the same thing to Alexander Albon. I don't know if I'm now diverting from Carlos Sainz, but I think Alexander Albon and Terry Gasly's competition is quite interesting because it might also lead to we seeing different drivers for Red Bull in 2025. So I remember a few weeks ago, Lewis Hamilton said he wanted to talk to, maybe he was arrogant. I think Lewis has an arrogant kind of. So Alexander said, "I'm not going to listen to you, man." He said, I need to talk to you, my man. This is Formula One. No one, you don't have friends here. And the way you're playing with fire, you might not even get that seat next year. Looking at the fact that, look at Max Verstappen, he's the first driver of Red Bull is not taking him anywhere. So he's still going to maintain that. And unless he wants to go to a very big team, maybe a Mercedes or a Ferrari, that's when he can take it. So as of now, Max said where he is. And Lewis Hamilton said he wants to talk to Alexander Albon that you really need to up your game, my guy. Look at Max Verstappen is giving us a competition. You're always finishing 7th, 8th. It's not very good for him, and he might lose his seat or totally in F1 because Red Bull might find someone different. Maybe Perry Gasly might even go back to Red Bull.
Red Bull. And then I think it's a subject that, or someone we couldn't end the show without having talked about Nico Hammersberg.
Nico Hülkenberg, yes.
Hülkenberg. Like, take us through what happened for maybe for someone who didn't watch what he did from the time he was called in. Maybe give us a bit of background for who he was and how he ended up where he was.
It's, you know why I'm laughing? I'm laughing because many people are creating a lot of memes around him, and they're quite very amusing and very interesting memes. And Nico is also doing the memes himself in his Instagram page. And Nico is a very, let me start by saying Nico is a very 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 strong driver, and usually when in every start of a season he has issues with where he's going, what's happening with his contract and all that. So he signed for Racing Point. Racing Point, which is going to be Aston Martin in 2021, the one that will be driving for. So so it was, I think it was quite tricky. I wouldn't blame I'm not sure if I should blame them, but I think somehow they were in dilemma because there's Checo Perez as well as what is that? Lance Stroll, and as well as him. So Lance Stroll is the son of the owner of Racing Point. So Checo or Perez, he's a good driver. He finished fourth. Yeah, he finished fourth this past. So Checo will not be having a seat for Racing Point for 2021. And Lance Stroll is not doing very good. I think that's where the F1 community is very angry that Lance Stroll doesn't deserve having that. There shouldn't be being a confusion at all. Hulk and Perez should be having those things. But now because it's now family issue where the issue is the father can't he wants his son to be God, and that's it. And he has every right, but he doesn't. In my honest opinion, he doesn't deserve that. How should he do that? And the first time when this issue happened was when Checo Perez had contracted COVID, and then Hulk came. He did very well. He even did very well than Lance Stroll. He doesn't have a CVT driver, so he comes when people are off. And when he comes in, he also wants to prove a point. And he does prove a point. If you can realize, in the past, Nico used to be challenging Lewis Hamilton very hard. Just to show you that Hulk, for F1 community, they are very angry. They believe Hulk should be having a seat and he should be challenging the Mercedes. He should be challenging the Ferrari. He should be challenging, and he's not giving that opportunity. Right now, he has only had 2 races for the season, and it's very funny. The memes are going around, but he's three teams right now combined. He still has what do you say? He's still upper, and he makes sure that he got the point. His issue is to gain a point in every game and try to prove to everybody else that I am good enough. So that's the issue with Hulk. It's very unfortunate, and myself, I would like to see Hulk coming in, and he's the people's favorite, by the way. Whether he wins, whether he loses, the F1 community loves him so much, and yeah.
And then what happened to him this past weekend? From he started like in a number 20, and
that was on the qualifying. The qualifying. Remember, he didn't practice, not even. He didn't test the second at all. So we would not be judging him that much. So he finished last on the qualifying. And on Saturday, he finished, that was shocking, from number 20, he finished number 7, if I'm not mistaken. So, 7th or 8th, somewhere there. I don't have the record here. So he started number 20 and he finished number 8.
What's the latest on Fernando Alonso? And I don't know, maybe for someone who doesn't understand him being back, what does it mean? Is he coming in as a driver? Is he coming in on the technical side of things? Can you break it down for us?
Yes, Fernando Alonso is coming back to Formula One. The two-time world champion will be driving a Renault next year. This is the car that he retired on, and so with Formula One. It's very, very funny. Like I initially said earlier on that was I saying Ricardo had retired at some point, and he came back and drove a Renault. So you can still retire and then come back. So myself, I'm looking for Nico Rosberg to come back, because in my own opinion, I feel that guy he's the one who can still challenge Lewis Hamilton, and he still believes that. He's doing commentary every week and every day about Formula One, and he still maintains. I believe Lewis Hamilton is not that very good. Yeah? They have come from together from from karting. They've been friends from childhood. They know each other. They know each other's weaknesses and everything. Like so, Fernando Alonso is coming back, and he believes that he's going to challenge the championship next year with the Renault. But personally, I believe that Fernando is old and he should allow the young drivers to drive. At 40 years, he should be rather, it's my own personal opinion. And I think I saw someone saying almost the same thing earlier on. I was like, wow, this is exactly what I believe. Young drivers at Renault, they were looking forward to showing themselves. They were looking at Formula One. Right now, it's a sport where we're seeing young lads, I think the older ones, we were talking about Sebastian, we're talking about Kimi Räikkönen. Yes, Lena, I believe he should be retiring. He only has 2 points, imagine. And Kimi Räikkönen used to be one of the very, 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 very great drivers in Formula One. He's more than 40, and we have Lewis Hamilton. He's about 36 or 35, somewhere there. And we have Sebastian Vettel, but Seb is still young, 33. So, those are the ones that we can see. They are older. They are fine. Looking at Seb and Lewis Hamilton, they are okay. But Kimi Räikkönen and come on guys, Kimi Räikkönen and Fernando should allow young drivers to drive right now. I'm enjoying the young drivers right now. I'm enjoying Max Verstappen. I'm enjoying Esteban Ocon. I'm enjoying every one of them. Lando Norris. We really want to see that. I think even in soccer, it's almost the same thing. You know, when you are 40, we don't expect you to see you on the field. Let's give others the chance to drive. So I feel Fernando is just driven by whatever is driving him. He just believes Lewis is not that good, and he's always making that opinion and making it very strong, very bold. I think it's just the Mercedes. I think it's just the car. You know. So yeah.
So we have a comment from a favorite of yours, Mr. Mercedes. He's saying Rosberg won't challenge Lewis. Even in the same car, Lewis is on another level.
He's saying what?
Nico Rosberg won't challenge Lewis. Even in the same car, Lewis is on another level.
But we should also know that Nico retired after beating Lewis Hamilton. Honestly, let's look at their records together. Records speak. Somebody was saying in one of the Formula One groups, he said, you know, I am seeing Lewis haters saying it's not him, it's the car, it's what. But do you know that looking at Michael Schumacher has very dirty history that we can mention, and we can mention here, it won't look petty. And he has done terrible things to be where he is. At the end of the day, he said something like, at the end of the day, records will be the one that are going to stay. You know, records are the ones that are going to speak. Right now, we're speaking about Michael Schumacher's records. We're not talking about his dirty tactics that he did, which are there, which can be, which we can go back. But right now, we are talking about that. Same applies to Nico and Kira Remotibisi. Same applies to, it's my own opinion. He's right as well. I'm trying to be fair here. I'm trying not to be biased. I would say Lewis, yes, better than Nico, in my own opinion. But at the same time, we should know that Nico was very good as well. And he challenged Lewis, like, they were always lock-ahead, you know. Sometimes Lewis wins, this times Nico wins. So I'm not sure who was the best or who was the great between the two. But yes, personally, I believe Lewis is very good. And I would agree with him, but I wouldn't say it 100%.
And then another comment, he said, "Are Nico in football what we call a super sub."
Nico who hang Hulk or I think he's talking about Hulk.
Yeah, are super sub. The super sub, yeah,
exactly, and exactly that's very true. I do agree with you. I do agree. Every time he gets the opportunity, he uses his utmost best. But also at the same time, somebody was saying, but you guys are not fair to say Nico is better than Haas, better than Alfa Romeos combined. Racing points, the car is much better than your Haas and your Williams. So yeah.
So looking at the race, who was your driver of the day?
Driver of the day. Then Ricardo. I usually want to satisfy my answer because I want to satisfy my answer with something that makes sense. I believe Ricardo, you know, for the past, and he has been winning the driver of the day. I'm not sure who won the driver of the day. I didn't check. But my driver of the day would be Dan Ricardo. I know he won it 2 weeks back, but this weekend he highly deserved it compared to the weekend that they were saying he did. Musidisi was mentioning something the other weekend that he said Ricardo is driving not a very competitive car with the Renault, and every week he pushes hard to try to get a result and try to get points as he can, and he does that. He's always on the top 5, or if he's not on the top 5, he would rather go number 6 or 7. So generally, I believe Ricardo did very well. The last podium that he had was in 2016, and he giving Reynolds the first podium. That's something for Reynolds, for the team, and for him as well. So I know he's leaving. He's leaving to McLaren, and it's going to be very exciting, for the F1 community who follows F1 every day. Then Ricardo and Lando Norris together. Wow, that's going to be very, very exciting. And looking at both characters, we're going to be laughing every day. So, yeah.
Then I think when Mr. Mutsidisi Hali Dumalan, and then he's saying his driver of the day, Nico Hawk.
I know everyone has their own opinion. Everyone has their own opinion, so I respect his opinion. So yeah, Nico, yes, yeah. But Nico is not my favorite type of person. Not that he doesn't deserve to be driver. I think he's just overrated. But anyway, what can we say? The people just like him, and they just like somebody who's just like I think Nico is just like that. As much as I'm not saying Nico is not talented, I would say Ricardo is far much better than Nico in terms of that driving and all that. But people just love Nico. They just love Nico. So, and they just hate Lewis Hamilton with passion. It's just like that, eh?
Okay. So in closing, where are we going for the next session or next race?
Yes. Next, we are not having anything this weekend. I think we are going to be having our next race on the 23rd to the 25th. I know the dates I have now in Portugal. So we'll be in Portugal on the 22, 25, and yeah, that's where we'll be for round 12. Yes, round. We still have Dubai. We still have December. We still have quite a number of races that we are.
And then back to the comment, Mr. Mtsidi is saying the reason why he chose Hulk as his driver of the day, because he didn't practice, he just went out to drive and got from P8 and got from P20 to P8. That's his reasoning for choosing Nico.
Yeah, they're satisfiable. I do agree with them.
I've noticed that when Mr. Mutsidis, does he support a rival team?
He supports, I think he supports Mercedes.
Oh,
I think so.
Really?
He does. He does support Mercedes.
The way you guys don't always agree. I feel
you know why? Yeah. That's what I love about he does he watched this. We watch the sport not because we love the sport, not because unlike your soccer guys who would tell you, Manchester. I am saying Manchester. Whatever reason is Manchester. I think with Formula One, that's one thing. You should visit some of those groups. Those guys, whether I support Lewis, they can just come in and Lewis group and tell you Lewis made a mistake. He did make a mistake, So I think that's how we kind of look at the sport. We become because you won't be supporting, like myself, for instance. I don't only support Mercedes. I love McLaren, but mostly I love the driver. It's very tricky because Lewis can move to Aston Martin next year. because
Yeah.
I think even Toto is not clear whether he's going to still be with Toto Wolff, the principal manager, is still going to be with Mercedes next year. He had mentioned something earlier this year that he wants a challenge or something like that. So the possibilities, and he also have shares with Aston Martin. So you should know that he's
Nice.
owning Aston Martin, and he's somehow the manager of Mercedes. So then the issue was, is Lewis moving with Toto because they are just like this, just like I don't know how to describe that. That's so very close that I think Lewis is not going to have a very good. That's why he hasn't even signed his contract now. But they're saying he's going to sign it definitely a 3-year contract with Mercedes. So yeah, so the possibilities of me changing teams is there with Formula One. It's very. I can be a Ferrari in this 5 years, and then another 5 years I can be a Mercedes. That's the possibility. I'm not sure if we are not loyal or what, but because the drivers also change the seats.
Teams, yeah.
I would be loving Lando Norris at McLaren. Like right now, I love Lando Norris. So I just like Lando Norris, not because he's better than Max Verstappen or what. I just like him, his character and everything, how he views everything, life and his optimism, everything about him. So if he leaves McLaren and then go to Racing Point, you might see next year. You might say, "Are you now supporting Racing Point or what?" No, I'm going with my driver. I still like him. I like him as a driver. And that's why I supported McLaren in the first place.
Oh, so with you, it's more focused around the driver, not the team.
Yeah, but it depends. Not everyone views it like that. Maybe Mr. Mutidi is not like that. There are people who really love Ferrari. Whatever happens, whether storm, whatever rain, come sunshine, he says I'm a Ferrari.
They're
And
loyal.
they're loyal. Like right now, Sebastian Vettel is moving. So the question is, people who came, Seba has been with Ferrari for quite a longer time. So there are people who supported Ferrari because of Seba. Remember, Seba is the four-time world champion, and some people came to watch Formula One because of them. So the question is, are they moving with him to Aston Martin, or are they still going to, because they came to Ferrari because of Seb.
Oh yeah. No, Mr. Mtsiri confirmed it are his team Mercedes. Mpho, I think we've lost her there. So guys, in closing, let me just thank our resident F1 analyst, Mpho, who suddenly lost us there, but that's how we come to the end of another beautiful session. Thank you guys for joining us, and we'll definitely see you guys soon. Let me just bring her on board and so that she says her goodbyes. Mpho.
Yes.
I had lost you there. So you can, in closing, wrap up and yeah, just share your message to your F1 community.
Okay. I think it's we watched a very, honestly, I was saying to some people, there is a group called Lando Norris fans, and it's quite one of the active groups we have, I think, which I'm in WhatsApp, and they were like, we just don't like Lewis, and I was saying, if we're an F1 supporter, what happened this past weekend is not only about Lewis Hamilton. It's not about whether I like him or I don't like him. It's something that was historic for Formula One. If you are really following the sport, that should have been a very spectacular moment, because we might not see it in our living, or we might not even. I don't think most of us would ever see such a historical moment that we witnessed this past weekend. So honestly, I would say it's one of the moments that we cherish, and we should cherish as the Formula One community, and we should continue watching the sport, following the drivers. It's going to be an interesting transfer, and that is going to be happening. Everybody wants to see themselves in a very good car. Some already noted their drivers for 2021, but it's going to be very interesting next year. We're going to have new faces. The like of Mick Schumacher will be with Kimi Räikkönen in Alfa Romeo. It's going to be quite an interesting 2021. We have another new face, the Liot. He's also from Ferrari development team, and he's going to be driving a Haas. Looking at Haas has never changed drivers ever. So I would say 2021 will be very interesting. It will be very great.
Okay. So Mpho, in closing, let's wrap things up. And as usual, thank you for joining me. Hopefully, I'll have you that other week, Haruka Portugal, so that you can break down and what transpired. So, guys, if you have any Formula One questions, direct your questions to her. Nam she'll advise you, coach or do whatever it is. So now I'll just forward her to you guys. So Mpho, thank you for joining. See you again that other week.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much for having me.
All right.